It was supposed to be an ordinary evening, the kind of evening where nothing dramatic happens, just two people sharing a meal, talking about the day, maybe laughing a little. I had even taken extra care to set the table nicely. A warm dinner, soft candlelight, the comforting smell of roasted chicken filling the air. Thought it would be one of those nights where we would pause the rush of life and just enjoy each other's company. But life has a way of turning the moments you expect to be peaceful into the ones you'll never forget. She sat across from me, her face lit by the soft glow of the candles. At first glance, everything seemed normal. She smiled at me, but it wasn't the kind of smile I knew. It wasn't warm or playful, it was fragile, almost forced. Her fingers twisted the edge of her napkin again and again, and her eyes, usually steady and bright, couldn't hold mine for more than a second. I felt a strange tension settle in my chest, like the quiet before a storm. Then she cleared her throat, her voice breaking slightly. "I need to tell you something," she said. The way she said it made my stomach tighten. I put my fork down, waiting, though a part of me didn't want to hear whatever was coming. She took a shaky breath, and then the words fell out of her mouth like shards of glass. "I've been seeing someone else." For a moment, time froze. The ticking of the clock on the wall grew impossibly loud. The fork I had been holding slipped from my fingers and clattered against the plate. I stared at her, unable to process what I'd just heard. "What?" My voice cracked, low and sharp, though I barely recognized it myself. She looked at me then, her eyes swimming with guilt, but also with something else I couldn't place. Fear, maybe, or defiance. "I've been with someone else," she repeated, softer, but still firm. It was like the air had been sucked out of the room. The woman I had built my life with, the one I had trusted with everything I had, was telling me over a candlelit dinner of all places that she had betrayed me. My chest tightened, and 1,000 thoughts crashed into me at once. I forced myself to ask, my voice little more than a whisper, "Why?" She swallowed hard, as though the words hurt her to speak. "Because I felt empty. I felt like we weren't connecting anymore. He made me feel alive again. I didn't plan for it, but it happened. And I couldn't keep it hidden from you any longer." Her explanation felt like another stab to the chest. Empty, we weren't connecting. I thought of all the late nights I spent working to secure a better future for us. The weekends I planned little surprises, the trips, the conversations where I asked if she was happy. Every time, she said yes. She smiled, she held my hand, and now she was saying none of it was enough. I clenched my jaw, fighting the storm inside me. My heart wanted to explode, to demand answers, to shout about betrayal and broken vows, but instead, I stayed quiet, watching her closely, trying to understand how the person I thought I knew could be sitting here confessing this like it was nothing more than a bad habit. She went on, maybe mistaking my silence for weakness. "I didn't want to hurt you. You've always been good to me, but when I was with him, I felt seen. I felt wanted. I couldn't ignore that." Her words echoed in my head. I felt wanted. Did she not realize how much I had given her? Did she not see the sacrifices, the effort, the love poured into every part of our life together? Was none of that enough to make her feel wanted? Finally, I asked the question burning through my chest. "Do you love him?" She hesitated. For a brief moment, I thought she might say no, that this was just a mistake she regretted. But then, with her eyes lowered, she whispered, "I think I do." The air left my lungs in a sharp rush. It wasn't just betrayal anymore. It wasn't just a fling. She was sitting in front of me, admitting she thought she loved another man. I gripped the edge of the table, my knuckles turning white. "Does he know you're married?" "Yes," she said quietly. That cut deeper than anything else. Another man, knowingly stepping into my marriage, taking what wasn't his to take, and her willingly giving it to him. I stared at her for a long moment, my face calm, though inside I was burning alive. Memories of us together flashed in my head, the late night talks, the laughter, the promises whispered in the dark, all of it now stained, poisoned by her choice. At last, I leaned forward and spoke in a voice steady enough to surprise even me. "You know, I always wondered what betrayal would feel like. I always thought if it ever happened, I'd lose control. But right now, I just feel sorry for you." Her eyes widened, startled. She had expected anger, shouting, maybe begging, but pity, that shook her. "You threw away loyalty for temporary excitement," I continued. "You chose lies over love, and you thought you could confess it here, over dinner, like it was just another casual topic. But let me tell you, what you did tonight says more about you than it does about me. I know I gave you everything I could. I tried, and now, You'll have to live with the fact that you destroyed something real for something that won't last. Her lips trembled. She tried to speak, but no words came. I stood, pushing my chair back. My voice was calm, but there was finality in every word. You wanted to feel desired. Desire fades, and when it does, you'll remember what you threw away. You'll remember the man who would have done anything for you, but by then, it will be too late. Her eyes filled with tears, but I didn't stay to watch them fall. I left her there at the table, surrounded by silence and the weight of her own choices. That night, I walked aimlessly through the streets, my chest tight, my mind racing. Betrayal didn't feel like anger. It felt like grief. It felt like sitting on a park bench in the cold night air, realizing the person you trusted most had chosen someone else over you. When I finally returned home, hours later, she was on the couch, crying quietly. She lifted her head when she saw me, eyes swollen, voice trembling. "Please, talk to me." I stood there, exhausted, and all I could say was, "Talk." "After you confessed this, after you told me you love him." She shook her head desperately. "I don't love him. Not like that." I was confused. I was stupid. I thought I wanted more, but now I see what I've risked. "He doesn't mean anything compared to you." I stared at her, searching for sincerity. A part of me wanted to believe her, to hold on to the woman I once knew, but another part of me knew better. Trust once broken doesn't rebuild overnight. Words can't erase scars. "You should have thought about that before," I said quietly. "You don't get to gamble with my heart and then beg me to forget when you lose." The days that followed were heavy with silence. We lived under the same roof, but it felt like we were worlds apart. She tried to cook my favorite meals, left little notes, reached for me at night, but every touch felt like ash. One evening, she said, "I'll end it. I'll tell him it's over. Just please, let me make things right." I looked at her, my heart heavy. "You don't get it. You already ended us. The night you confessed, you changed everything. Even if you end it with him, nothing will be the same. And no matter what you say now, I'll never forget that you chose him over me." Her face crumbled, tears spilling freely. "So that's it. After everything we've been through." I leaned forward, my voice steady. "I'm not just walking away. I'm choosing myself. I'm choosing peace over betrayal. I gave you love and trust, and you gave me lies. This marriage isn't a prison. I won't stay broken just so you can feel whole again." The next morning, I packed my bags. She stood in the doorway, begging, promising, swearing it would never happen again. But I knew better. Promises made after betrayal are just words trying to cover wounds too deep to heal. When I closed the door behind me, it hurt. God, it hurt. But beneath the pain was something else: relief. I moved into a small apartment. It wasn't much, but it was mine. Slowly, I rebuilt myself. I spent time with friends, focused on work, rediscovered passions I had lost. The silence in that apartment wasn't loneliness, it was healing. She tried reaching out, calls, texts, even showing up at my door. Once, she stood there crying, saying, "He means nothing. You're the only one I want." I looked at her, and for the first time, I didn't feel anger or sadness. I just felt nothing. "You don't miss me," I told her. "You miss the comfort, the security, the man who always forgave you. But that man doesn't live here anymore." I closed the door gently, not in anger, in finality. That night, I slept peacefully for the first time in months. And as time passed, I realized something important. Betrayal doesn't define you. How you respond to it does. I didn't let her betrayal turn me bitter. I didn't let it make me lose myself. I chose dignity over destruction, self-respect over desperation. So when people ask me what I did right after my wife confessed she had a lover, I tell them this: I chose myself. I walked away with my head held high, and I never looked back, because love without loyalty isn't love at all. If you've ever believed in the power of self, stay until the very end of every story like this. You'll always find strength where you least expect it.